Hi, a very warm welcome to all of you. How are you all feeling this evening? Inspired. Oh, great. I love that. I love the energy. And what day are we at today? Sorry? Yeah, it's a hump day, Wednesday, and I love the energy on a Wednesday. And I know the energy is because we have an amazing individual, amazing human being. I want to say that because that's what he shared with me, that I am, who I am. Don't look at my titles. And he's amazing. And I will say a little bit more about that. But first of all, a very warm welcome and thank you for taking time. And if you're to be here, and if you're wondering, why did this invitation go, a little, what, you got this about maybe 2 weeks ago or so? And that is because I want to thank and shout out to our SGLN fellows. And of course, we have Robin here, and we have our fellows in the house who wanna. I saw a few of the fellows here with us, yes, and the mentors of the fellows. Now, they have been amazing. So, and before I go into how amazing they are, I must say a little bit about SGLN. How many of you are here for the very first time? Then I should say. So we are with the Singapore Leaders Network. Stands for, SGLN for short. And we are under the Human Capital Leadership Institute, but we are very, very young. We just celebrated our second anniversary in August. And SGLN is headed by none other than Dr. Nadir Zafar is over there. Now they're not, if there is more than 5 people who don't know him, that's very strange. And that'll be very odd because everyone knows him. And SGLN is a really small team. I have with me Nigel and my colleague June, who's outside, and some of us are not here today. And I'm Swapna. And this is the team. And why are we here? Because we are so passionate about developing Singaporeans to prepare them for global leadership roles. And that's what keeps us up. And that's what makes us excited about coming to work. What can we do? And this is the product of a great initiative we did this year, which was the SGLN Fellowship. That Robin is one of our fellows, and we have a few others, and we have mentors who are providing the mentorship one-on-one. Now, we do these events quite often as well. We bring together thought leaders, successful business leaders to have conversations, to hear from them what it takes to go there, out there, and, help us to open up our minds to possibilities. But today's event was made possible by none other than Robin and our fellows. They have been putting so many events in this month and last month. And that's why there has been, it's like a buzz of activity. I meet people. I met Yusuf, who says, and we were like so happy to see each other like 3 times in a month. That rarely happens. So first of all, let's put our hands together for Robin, who's our fellow, and for everyone who made this possible. And today's today's talk is really about unlocking your true potential. And this is about personal transformation. And you might be wondering, what has personal transformation got to do with global leadership development? A lot, a lot. Countries are just transforming. Industries are transforming. Companies are transforming. Transformation starts with human beings and individuals and leaders. It has to start from within. It's not a superficial transformation. It has to be deep transformation from within. Only then are you able to lead your teams to face the kind of challenges that organizations are facing nowadays. And who else, none other than Dr. Hannes Schmidt, to take us through this inspiring journey of transformation. But I'm going to save that introduction to Robin, who knows him personally and who's going to share a little few words and his experiences about Dr. Hannes. So please put your hands together for Robin.
Thank you, Swapna. I don't want to hold you back from the amazing journey that will be taken with Dr. Hannes, but just to give you some context, I first met Hannes in 2018 at the UBS Global Philanthropy Conference, and he was given 15 minutes to speak before lunch, and he spoke for an hour and nobody moved. Everyone was so captivated by his story that no one was hungry and left the room, and it was amazing. And after that, we were so impressed by what he was doing and everything. We felt like, hey, could this even be true? Like, it felt a bit exaggerated. So some friends of I went down to Cambodia, actually do our due diligence. And the moment we got off from the resort bus, Hannes was there waiting for us, and he brought us around the tour and non-stop for 3-4 hours. He had so much energy, and we as the younger ones were like, okay, can we take a break? Can we put our bags down and everything? But I want to share that actually it's been many years that I've known Hannes and I've visited him in Zurich. He knows my family. We're really like relatives. I'm very glad that today we can also have Hannes' son who's here as well. Max, where are you? Max is at the back of the room. And yeah, Max was saying that he has not been to the NGO in Cambodia for the last 7 years. And he's seen how transformational it's been, and it's a big eye-opener for him. Hannes also doesn't do this alone. I've always been trying to help him here in Singapore, but Leap is also the co-founder of Smiling Gecko. He's Cambodian, a lawyer, and also a co-founder of Smiling Gecko with Hannes as well. So as later when Hannes takes you through the journey, I mean, many of us here are fellows or Singaporean leaders who want to transform. And I think Singaporeans, as many have said, like tend to not take so much risk, not be willing to transform themselves or to take a completely new different or go all in on something. And I think hopefully after today, you'll be able to get some inspiration to see what's our life purpose and actually see what we want to do with our lives. So without further ado, I want to give the floor to Hannes. Hannes, over to you. Everyone, Hannes.
No? Ah, now it's on. Okay. And also HCLI, I thank very much that I'm able to be here tonight. Well, I'm born 1946 in Switzerland, so this is just slightly after the war. I'm an old guy. You know, you see what Photoshop can do. It was a totally different time, right? And I grew up in the mountains as a very poor kid. We were 4 kids. And we were guests with a farmer. We not even had a farm. And I was Goat Peter. So actually school, very far away. You know, my job was in the summer to herding the goats up to the top of the mountain. And I had 1 pair of shoes. That was for the winter. And when my feet were growing, my father cut off the top. But then my toes mainly looked quite blue in the winter from the cold. But there I learned something. I learned leadership. If you can direct a herd of goats, you can manage a company. There's nothing more difficult. So when Robin asked me to come, usually, you know, I have a very special talk. It's called The Art of Transformation, because in 2013, PricewaterhouseCoopers took my life as an abstract form of transformation. So I was sent all over the world, from World Economic Forum to Davos, to San Francisco, to China, and I had nothing to talk about than my life. And well, that already takes 1.5 hours. So then I have another part of my life who becomes really very important, and that's what I do in Cambodia, and this takes another 1.5 hours. So there is a small film about my life before I actually started in Cambodia, and I like to introduce myself quickly to the film, because otherwise we have a 5-hour evening here, and I don't think you have time. You probably have kids at home, and you have to go and eat and have a wife and I don't know what. So I think we should start with that. Huh? So if you can get the light down a little bit. Okay.
Switzerland stands for tradition, quality, and neutrality. Hannes Schmid transforms these social values and responsibilities into his works. His untiring curiosity and risk-taking prompt him to create images. He is an artist whose path to finding his obsession has been unconventional.
Dieses Auswandern nach Südafrika, das war für mich dieser Schritt in diese Freiheit. Dann diese Zeit, diese 4 Jahre Afrika und diese Zeit in Südostasien, das war meine Lehre als Fotograf. Aber ich habe nicht des Bildes willen fotografiert. Dieser Weg zu diesem Bild, das war mein Erlebnis. Alle anderen Fotografen oder Bildschaffenden, die haben immer für dieses Resultat gearbeitet. Ich nicht.
After leading such a life, Hannes Schmid found entrance into an utterly new family, the tribe of the rock stars. He accompanied the biggest rock legends of our time.
Eigentlich habe ich 8 Jahre lang Familienfotos gemacht. Das Lustige war auch, dass meine Bilder niemand wollte zu dieser Zeit, weil meine Bilder waren nicht glamourös. Aber die Bands, denen haben diese Bilder gefallen, weil das war ihre Identifikation. Und heute, wenn man zurückschaut, ist das ein einmaliges Dokument dieser Zeit.
Hannes Schmid transformed the fascination for the trivial behavior of the bands, the uniform appearance of the fans, as well as the political revolt of an entire generation into a unique portrait of an era. In the 1980s, Hannes Schmid got discovered by the prestigious world of fashion and advertising. Contemporary critics were stunned by his new approaches, and he created extraordinary motifs and visions for renowned fashion designers such as Kenzo and Armani.
Aber ich war immer noch kein Modefotograf. Also ich war nur dieser Typ, der diese Realität, meine eigene Welt, für mich eigentlich inszeniert hat.
Hannes Schmid traveled the most extraordinary places on this planet, from the extensive steppes of Africa to the Earth's highest mountaintops. All of them served as backdrops for his pictures.
Das Lustige war, dass viele auch von den Topmodels immer sehr, sehr gern mit mir gearbeitet haben, weil die haben gesagt, ich kann da was erleben, das ich sonst nicht erleben kann. Das ist once in a lifetime.
This is how never-before-seen pictures came about, which had an important impact on fashion photography. That was Hannes Schmid's breakthrough. In his photographs, he masterfully achieved a balance between art and commerce. Hannes Schmid decisively shaped the cowboy of the Marlboro commercial, which became a legendary global icon.
Von mir wollte man keine Werbebilder. Man hat gesagt, wir brauchen etwas Frisches, etwas Neues, etwas anderes. Und so habe ich hunderte von orangen Bildern erzeugt, mit ganz einfachen Szenen, wie so Cutouts, wie so Scherenschnitte, oder? Und die waren natürlich sehr eindrücklich, vor allem auf Straßenplakate und haben diese Wärme vermittelt, diese Nähe, aber auch unsere Sehnsucht wiedergespiegelt. Und das war genau das, was sie wollten. Und so habe ich über 10 Jahre dieses Image geprägt.
And that's how, for once, a Swiss person provided Americans with an identity which up to this day is firmly rooted in the minds of people. His stories not only influenced generations, but also helped small marginalized groups to attain global attention. In Singapore, Hannes Schmid, with an open heart and open eyes, encountered a phenomenon which instantly intrigued him. Hannes Schmid's project For Gods Only prompted the UNESCO to take a fascinating spiritual rite under its patronage. This is just one example for his increasing engagement for the preservation of such cultural happenings threatened by extinction.
Es war eine taoistische, rituelle Opernaufführung, die nur für Götter, Geister und Deities ist. Aber das war für mich natürlich faszinierend, dass es Leute gibt, Menschen gibt, Schauspieler gibt, die ein Leben lang vor leeren Stühlen spielen. 2007 war die letzte Aufführung dieser Oper. Diese Geschichte ist verschwunden, die gibt es nicht mehr. Die Leute waren zu alt, sie konnten diese Aufführung nicht mehr machen. Und über mich lebt jetzt diese Geschichte weiter. Mein künstlerischer Gedanke dahinten war eigentlich, dass ich diese 3 Formen der Kunst auf ein Blatt Papier zusammenführe. The Art to Perform, also die Kunst des Theaters, die Kunst der Kalligraphie und die Kunst der Fotografie und das alles auf einem Blatt zusammenfinde, so dass es transparent ineinander schmilzt.
Transformation is a term best describing Hannes Schmid's works. Another proof of this is his oeuvre on the important topic of Formula One.
Ich wollte dieses Auto anders darstellen. Ich fand, dass dieses Auto ein Kunstwerk ist, aber nicht, wenn es auf dem Boden steht, auf 4 Rädern. Das gab natürlich eine komplette neue Vision dieses Formel 1.
Legendary photo series created a surplus value for the popular motor racing sports and made people ask for more.
Ich würde gerne ein Auto in die Salzseen von Bonneville bringen und einen Landspeed-Rekord erstellen. Ja, der CEO war natürlich begeistert. Er hat gesagt, that's a super Idee, we're writing Motorsport History. Und so, ja, genau. Er sagt, ja, talk to the team. Habe ich gesagt, ja, willst du dann nicht wissen, was es kostet? Dann sagte er, ja, weißt du, Hannes, große Firma, große Träume. Fragst du, was ein Traum kostet?
Hannes Schmid was able to win over the team for his vision and accompanied the venture from its developing to its production stage. Through the feature film Bonneville, The Final Run, which evolved out of all of this, Hannes Schmid's idea of setting up a land speed world record shaped the history of motor racing. The mobiles are monumental design objects, aiming to bridge differential cultures and to represent the cosmos as mechanism. Each part of the mobile is turning, leading to a perpetual movement expressing the Taoist principle of the constant transformation of life and human beings. The 5 mobile sculptures embody the 5 elements of the Taoist belief: wood, fire, metal, water, and earth. According to the ancient Chinese teachings of Taoism, these 5 elements stand for the 5 stages of the transformation of every living subject. Hannes Schmid, an extraordinary artist, looking far beyond the camera lens. His focus is always on art, and his fellow human beings are always close to his art. He's an artist who traveled the world and captured his personal treasures with his camera. He's a globetrotter who's found his place in a family at any place in the world, be it in Africa, Bolivia, America, Shanghai, China, or in the deepest jungle of Borneo.
Die ganze Welt war mein Zuhause.
Well, you see, I had a really full life, right? This is just a little part of my whole life. There's so much more to it. I was here in Singapore. My wife is Singaporean, so even I was the owner of an HTB in Punggol. You know, we were the first one who moved in there, and the government promised us a beautiful city with country clubs and with all these kind of things. But when we moved in, there was just a couple of empty houses, and I was fascinated by the LRT. It was at night driving around. There was nobody in there. It was a really spooky city, right? It was very fascinating. But when I started to discover more about the Mayang, about this Chinese opera here, which we have very beautiful history, it's under the protection of UN today, it's World Heritage. And I started to find out that, well, besides Singapore, in China, it didn't exist anymore because Mao Zedong, that time, he wiped it out. It was never been allowed. Later on, there was Hong Kong with the Hungry Ghost Festival, where you found some stuff. And then I've discovered with Mr. Lee Yong Wang, he was a professor at the Singaporean University. And he did more, actually, the cultural part. I did more the visual part. That there is very large groups in Thailand who still perform like 300 years ago. So I moved to Udon Thani. And there I found a fantastic group of about 200 Chinese old people, and they still lived like hundreds of years ago. You know, it was really fascinating to see. And they only performed in front of these empty chairs. So in the evening, I crossed a little bridge to go for dinner. And there was a girl hunkering down. I saw the feet sticking out. She was covered in a piece of fabric. And I found some butt in my pocket and I dropped it in her rusty can, and then this fabric flew away. And I was deadly shocked. What I saw was this: totally burned face, burned body, white eye. And I said, my God, I didn't expect it. It really hit me. It hit me. I was like speechless, right? So I wanted to talk to her, so I spoke a little bit in English, and she was very shy. She was actually scared. So a Thai person came and said, "Sir, don't speak English with her. She's Cambodian. You have to speak Khmer. And by the way, she's a begging doll." I said, "Sorry, what is she?" She said, "Well, she's purposely burned, face, body, so that she makes more money." I said, I can't believe that. It was really, I mean, I have my son, my daughter, I have a family, and it was like a movie. Can you imagine this would happen to my children, right? So while I started breathing really deeply, I left, came back the next day. She was still there, and I found a person who spoke a bit of Khmer, and we started talking to her, and she told me her name is Wei. When she was 3 years old, her father, rice farmer in Battambang, had a bad harvest. He had to take money from the Vietnamese loan sharks, couldn't pay back. So they wanted to take his land and his house. And he tried to sell his daughter. It's common still today that children are being sold in Cambodia. Well, nobody wanted her. He took a blowtorch, bored her face, her body, and like this, he was able to sell her to an old woman. And the old woman said, "Yeah, I take her, she can sell some flowers," but she sold her on to a begging syndication in Thailand. Well, when I heard this story, I called my wife, Hillary, in Switzerland, and said, "Look, I'm sorry, I cannot come home." She said, "Why?" I said, "I found a girl." She said, "No, but not you." I said, "No, it's not what you mean. It's like, I cannot come. I have to do something," right? So I was dealing with the syndication. I packed her in a car. I covered her with a blanket, and I smuggled her across the border in Poi Phet and brought her back to Phnom Penh. Put her in an orphanage, right? And the lady from the orphanage told me, "You know, Hannes, there is about 250 to 300 girls, mainly, age 5 to 12, 13. They splash them in acid, they burn them, and they sell them into the begging syndication." I said, "Why don't we know this? Why don't we read about it? It seems that nobody has interest about that, right?" And I said, "And where are these children?" She said, "Well, if you want to know more about it, you have to move out to the dump site. There you find them, and there you will discover something where you cannot even imagine in your darkest dream." So the next day, I moved to the dump site. It's a horrible place. It's inhumane. It burns in your eyes. You can't breathe, the smoke, and it stinks. You have no idea how it stinks. And that's how the children live there, in the dirt. They're all sick, malaria, dengue, encephalitis, typhoid, and they have no money for nothing. And the children from early morning bis late at night, they go through this stinky stuff. They take out pet bottles, Coca-Cola cans, wires, and this is all being put together in bags and then be sold to the Chinese dealers, who then later on transport this back to China, and they produce a lot out of the plastic, our toys where you find here in the shops, where then we give to our children to play with, right? But it is terrible. And the other things, you know, these children, you know, they in this terrible world, and they're still happy. They still probably smile more than our children who have everything. So it is this kind of conflict, you know. You giggle together and you go through this dirt, you take out a rotten chicken and you try to cook the rotten chicken and whatever has been left, right? And it's so terrible that you find the dog is paralyzed. You kill the dog at least there is something fresh to eat. Rats, mouses, whatever we found, we had to eat. I spent 1 year living there on the dump site. I was lucky. I had 3 times typhoid, and I was able to go back to the city, and I flew home to Switzerland, and I came back again. But all these people who lived there, all these children, they had no chance, not even going into the city. They had no money. I called them a half a tablet society. They don't have the money to buy a whole tablet. Can you imagine? It is crazy, you know, and it's not far from here. You know, it's only an hour and 20-minute flight. And that's how family lives there, right? Nothing, right? You have a bare piece of wood on it, whatever you find there, you know, you try to eat. And if a family like this works the whole day, sunrise to sunset, they're lucky if they make $1. But a kilo rice is 90 cents. So there is sometimes no rice. So that it's only what you find in the rubbish, in that stinky rubbish. And very often they find nothing, but they have daughters, they have girls. Well, child prostitution, we had over 5,000 girls, age 5 to 12 in the child prostitution. It's 25 cents for oral sex. 5 times an evening is a kilo rice. 3 times, no rice. It's a fact. It's a fact. So I started to help, right? Of course, that was my mission. I'm there, I'm gonna help, I have to do something. So I was buying rice, right? Rice, that was 10,000 kilo rice. Then I realized that the women have no milk, so I buy milk powder. Mineral water, because the water was contaminated. And that was the time where I met Leap, young lawyer, in Phnom Penh. And he was actually on the way to Australia. You know, he had a kind of a job. Australia said, you're not going there. I said, you stay here and you're gonna work with me and you're gonna help your people, right? It was quite difficult for him. You know, he had this opportunity to go there, right? And then he decided, okay, Hannes, we get together. And that's how first we start to work together. So we started with agriculture, because what I did on the dump site, I failed, right? So with agriculture, so we started to build fish farms, chicken farms, you know, pigs, you know, a little bit outside, you know. Well, fish were dying, the chicken wouldn't lay eggs. Well, the pigs were also dying, you know, instead of going up to 100 kilo, they died with 35 kilo. We bought them with 25, 30, 5 kilo later, they were dying. It was an absolutely disaster. Actually, I lost all my money, all my family. I said, my wife, you know, it's a bit different. My wife is making the money and I spent the money. You know, normally it's a bit the opposite around. So my wife was selling my art. And all the money came into Cambodia, right? And I was spending it and spending it and spending it. And then actually Leap and I decided together that we start an organization, Smiling Gecko Cambodia. But in that time still, it was terrible what happened, you know. And we had no idea. Look, I'm an artist. I'm not an agriculture engineer, you know. I grew up in the mountains. I thought I know everything. But can you imagine chickens who don't lay eggs? Crazy, right? And pigs who start to schlep their legs behind them. You give them the best feed you could do, and nothing really works. When money came to Cambodia, to a particular bank, I never got everything. Maybe I got 60%. Sent $10,000, my wife sent $10,000, I maybe get 6, you know. And when I came with UBS Swift and I showed on the banks, they said, oh, sorry, it doesn't correspond. I said, yeah, what do you mean no correspond? Well, we only have 6. Do you want the 6 or you don't want the 6, right? It's a very corrupt country. It has changed a lot, I must say, in the meantime. But at that time, it was really crazy. And then I met Dr. Jim. He has a hospital, and he advised me to become local. And together with Leap, we started Smiling Gecko Cambodia. And then in our paper as a local NGO, we saw that we can own land. So I said to Leap, let's start again. You know, don't give up. You know, failure is the best way to success. Without failure, there is no success. And today it's really terrible. Our children are not even allowed anymore to fail, right? And we have to have a kind of a policy and a vision of failure. It's a politics. It's something very important that you fail. And you fail constantly in your life, right? Constantly. Well, we don't admit because we think, oh, we cannot say our friend, oh, I failed. I was like on a banner, I failed, and I'm allowed to fail. Very important that you make progress. So then I said to Lee, let's buy land. Let's start again. So, you know, our tuk-tuk driver, Sophie, you know, he comes from a place, it's 60 kilometers outside of Phnom Penh, and he said, Hannes, you want to buy land? The best land. It's amazing land where I come from, you know. There is water, there is everything, it's green. And we said, okay, wait, let's go look at it. It was rainy season. It was beautiful, water everywhere, green everywhere, right? So we were buying 9 hectares of land. Well, dry season came, there was no water anymore. It looked like Africa. It was just brown everywhere, right? Devastating. So, you know, Leap and I were sitting there. We start drilling for water. The first drill, no water. Second drill, no water. We start drilling and drilling. There was just no water. I said, I think we can go home again. It's like a disaster, right? But then, of course, we had some ideas. You know, when you come to the point where you think you lost everything, right? That's where you start to think. That's where you start to become creative, because you cannot give up. You must go through this whole thing, right? Well, we had this caterpillar coming. We cleared out everything, you know, and we started again. Same thing, farms. You know, because my idea was that we bring these poor people from the countryside, they are farmers, back to the, where we live in the city, back to the countryside. So we're building small farms, 4,000 square meters, with fish, with chicken, with everything. And well, how can you believe everything failed again? Everything failed again. Chicken, no eggs, nothing else like that. And then we were so devastating. So I wrote some emails to the Swiss Agriculture Department and said, please, I'm an artist. I try to run farms in Cambodia and nothing works. So one of the very important agriculture institute, they called me and I showed them my picture and I was telling them what happened. And the guy, he was just shaking his head. He said, Mr. Schmidt, I have checked you on the internet. You are an incredible artist. But to become an agriculture engineer, I think you have to go back to school. So I said, well, yeah, I believe so. I think, can you help me? He said, well, I cannot help you in Switzerland, but I send you 3 agriculture engineers. You know, one is for fish, one is for animals, and the other one for vegetables. And they came and their hairs were standing up. They said, Mr. Schmidt, you need 7 to 10 years. You need to fertilize and you compost. You have no nitrogen in your soil. It's a red soil. You have so much soil that nothing can grow. And then your fish is probably a mud fish. Just forget about it. It's not going to work. And your chicken, they said, is it tender? I said, no, it's rotten, tough. I mean, you know, you have to chew to the meat. And while the Cambodians love it, it's a soup chicken. You know, it's wonderful in the flavor. I said, well, you know, it's probably a semi-wild chicken. They don't lay eggs every day. I said, well, I saw chicken lay eggs every day, right? They said, no, this chicken maybe once a week or every 2 weeks, right? And well, I said, so now what we do? They said, well, your pig is another problem. They have a genetic kind of a damage because in Cambodia, they didn't change mother side, father side. So it was actually incest, right? So yeah, they said, you have to bring new genetic material. I said, what, how do I do it? I said, well, you know, every morning at 2 o'clock in Switzerland, before I flew off, we were milking 6 boars. Right? Took their sperms, put them in Nivea body lotion bottles. They go into my suitcase. We packed ice on top of it, you know, and I was flying with the pig sperms to Cambodia. And Leap was already ready with our agriculture guys. And I tell you, the pigs were so happy. Finally, there's a guy coming, you know, and bring healthy sperm. And well, because bring genetic material in another country, it's you go to jail, right? You're not allowed to do that. So I had to smuggle it. But I thought, well, if they open my suitcase and they say, why you have 20 bottles? I said, look, I have a very sensitive skin. I would have opened one that just put on a little bit, you know. but I never had to. So that's the good thing. Anyway, so we finally made progress with our chicken, and we had a kind chicken. We put 10 hens and 1 rooster, and then a second rooster, and then, well, there was another mistake there. After a while, it really worked well. You know, we had more eggs, and chickens were healthy. And then I said to Lee, we need younger roosters, right? We really need, like, you know, maybe 1 year, 2 year younger rooster, because, you know, they fit, right? So we changed to younger rooster, and you know what happened? Less eggs, less fertility. And in the meantime, we were working with all these agricultural institutes, so everybody was on the internet, and we asked him, what is the problem? The feathers looks good, the chickens are healthy, they have enough space, and we have less and less eggs. And then this Barry White from Chicago called me and said, Mr. Schmidt, how old are your roosters and how old your hens? I said, yeah, we just changed, you know, the roosters are much younger. He said, you know, chicken and human is not much different. Sorry, this is not so nice what I'm telling you now. But they said, you know, women don't want to be fucked by young men. So change your roosters and everything is be fine. So, well, we changed the roosters and we were back on the scratch, you know. Very funny, you know, but nobody knew anymore, because today everything is hybrid and everything is kind of, you know, scientifically proven and whatever. So nobody has these problems anymore. But we made progress. And today there is a piece there that is 150 hectares of hope. It's a little city. And we're so proud that we came that far, funded by friends, by people, you know, where we go holding talks. We're an NGO, we go and beg for money, you know, and it's a beautiful place. If you ever want to come to the most beautiful place in Cambodia, this is the place to go.
The Smiling Gecko Campus, the blueprint for a functioning community in rural Cambodia, has been created on 150 hectares of land around 80 kilometers north of Phnom Penh. The children go to a Western-style bilingual school, and the adults receive sound vocational training. Produce from the fields and the farms feed the community and can be marketed well domestically. There are various handicraft businesses and the Farmhouse Resort and Spa, which is one of the most beautiful hotels in the country. The Smiling Gecko Campus, 150 hectares of future for rural Cambodia.
It is not so difficult, you know. I grew up in a little village in Switzerland, right? And what is Switzerland based? You know, when I ask even the Bundesrat, our president, can you explain me why has Switzerland, this small country, become the 3rd richest country in the world, and the Swiss francs, the strongest currency in the world? Usually they don't even know exactly why. I know why. Because when you have a little village, and in this village, okay, one church, two churches, there's always the competition between Catholics and Protestants. You know, there's always a little bit who is the better one or whatever. But you have a school, right? You have a bakery, you have a butchery, right? You have a carpenter, you have a metal worker, right? Maybe you have a little doctor or a doctor's office. So everything, infrastructure is in one little village. So the children who grow up there, like me, you know, after 9 years of school, I was able to take an apprenticeship as an electrician. My friends were carpentry. The other ones became farmers. And that is the structure. It's small and medium cooperation. That's the backbone of Switzerland. And this is mainly missing in the developing world, right? And that's why when you then get hit by a pandemic, that's it, you're done. And we got hit 2020, but we got brutally hit, brutally. 3 years lockdown, 2.5 years, no child at school. I know you had it hard here too, but not compare what he had. People were dying. We were locked down. We were not allowed to go out. Nobody was allowed to go in with us in our compound. And you know, the young people were dying first, not the old people. And then the children lost their parents. And all in the second wave, 4 months later, the old people died. And nobody knew why do the young people die and what happened. The problem is 80% of the Cambodians are highly diabetes. And this comes from rice. Rice is killing the people. It's sugar and starch. And if you don't have the money to buy enough fish, vegetable, meat beside it, you only eat sugar and starch. And you don't chew. If you eat rice, you swallow. You know, it's terrible for your colon and for your stomach. That was one of the main reasons it had a disaster. So suddenly, there was only children living alone in the jungle by itself. Some of the parents who were still okay, they left to make some money because all the factories were closed. Nobody had an income anymore. The government didn't support. They have no money to support the people, right? So they were really left alone by themselves. And I always said, where is the Red Cross? Where is UN? Where is UNICEF? We never saw them. We never got help. They were just left alone, like Cambodia is left alone since the 70s. Cambodia is a black dot on the map of the world. And you ask yourself, why? Why does nobody take care? Why do they get aid, right? But it's always attached to something. And it mainly goes to the government. We are non-government as an NGO. We do not get money, nor from the big institutions, nor from other people, because we cannot influence the government. If you take Singapore government, Swiss government, German government, if you take America, they have an agenda. They don't give money in a country because the people are poor, sick, and not educated. They give money to the government so that they take care about human rights, about democracy, and about environment. But then the governments, the money goes somewhere, right? I don't know where. Millions in the world, billions of dollars going into these countries. And you ask yourself, since over 30 years, we give support aid in this country and has really not changed much. Where is all this money going? What happened to this money? But then for us, it was shocking. We start to realize that these children live alone. There's no parents, there's no nothing. So suddenly we had a special deal with the local government. I was allowed with 4 people to go out there. We were dressed in blue from the bottom to the top, like we looked like aliens. You know, we tried to find these children. We just hear it. And the local government gave us the permission. And that's what happened. You had these children going in the morning into the jungle. It's hot. And suddenly, I don't know how, they stop. And then they start digging holes in the ground. And I was, why did they dig holes? So they were digging in the middle of the jungle. They were digging and digging and digging and digging. And then they found a little frog, a crab, a lizard. So they were digging for food because they had nothing else, right? So then a whole morning digging and digging and digging, and the jungle is quite a dangerous place to go. We have a lot of cobras, we have a lot of snakes, we have a lot of things in there, you know. So maybe the whole morning they had 3, 4 of these little animals, and then they went back to their hut, you know. There maybe was a bit of rotten rice. Okay, and then they start to make a fire, and then they eat the unripe fruits, what they found, wild fruits, right? And then they start to skin the lizards, right, and the frogs. They were lucky they had an elderly boy, so he was known how to make a fire. But you see how dirty they are. Everything is dirty there. Well, and then they grilled or cooked this little animal. And then something amazing happened. You know, they shared everything. One get a little bit of the tail, one get a leg, the other one gets the head. And without anybody reaching forward or say, no, I'm hungry, hungry, hungry. They shared everything. It was so touching to see. I had tears. Very often I just stood there and I had tears running down because it was so emotional what we discovered. And then in the evening, we gave them batteries, right? Because they wanted to go and hunt for frogs. But there were thousands of children and adults in the rice field. There was hardly any frogs anymore. And it was a very dangerous time. Children disappeared. On the way home, the truck stops, picks up a child, gone. Car stops, picks up a girl, gone. Right? And from all this here, you know, there were 2 girls after 2 weeks missing. And I went and asked, and I said, where are the 2 girls, these 2 girls? And they said, we don't know, somebody took them. Trafficking of children, Cambodia #1. Just disappeared. But then you ask yourself, why is this? Why can a country like Cambodia never get out of that? And you start to realize it's all about education. 1972, I came here to Singapore, and I met Lee Kuan Yew several times. Lee Boon Yang, that time the culture minister. And we had one evening, it was very special. The president said to me, you know, I'm very, very fond of Switzerland, and I try to learn a lot from Switzerland. And I said, Mr. President, what do you like to learn? He said, I want that in Singapore, every Singaporean can count and read and can understand what they read. It's a very big point. I want that every Singaporean is enrolled in a health insurance system. I want that every Singaporean has a pension. When they get 55, 60, they can live because they worked for Singapore. Singapore was built with these people. And he said, and I want that every Singaporean has a right to live in a decent house or apartment, HDB, the largest housing system, social housing system in the world, right? And it's all about education. It's all, I remember that time, you know, the schools were not like today, you know, there was a lot of expats here, there was a lot of outsourcing, there were manufacturing here. After a little while, manufacturing were outsourced to Malaysia, to Indonesia, to Thailand. That's how Singapore started. Education, education, education. And today, Singapore probably the highest education level in the world. And it's all about that. And how is education look in Cambodia or in most of the developing world? That's how it looks like. That's our schools. Well, and then it's kind of fantastic when we have people like Lalabo says, well, you know, one book, one teacher, one pen can change the world. Yes, it's right. But if education system is like this, it cannot change.
Oh, 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 G, L,
Well, actually, you know, I know we laugh about, but it's actually very sad. And then you have UNICEF. UNICEF, there is a human right for education, right? Every human being has a right of education, right? But last year in fall, they posted this, that nearly 2/3, that means 2 out of 3 children worldwide cannot understand and read a simple text. Now, they got in panic. But you ask them, what have you done the last 20 years with your billions of dollars? What have you done that we come to that point? And this is really shocking. For Lieb and us, it was clear, we have to build a different school. It's not going on like this. We want a proper school to international standard. We don't want elite. We just want a proper school where children can grow, where they're safe, you know, where they everything they need, that they can challenge their life after, so that their children in the future can grow up different. So we started out a school. In 2017, we started our school. And today we are really, according to the Ministry of Education, one of the best schools. We were in Davos this year at the World Economy Forum. We were a model for a school, not about maybe the technical part, about the social responsibility of our children towards the society and their parents. And that's what we're losing slowly with all these KIs, with all these ChatGPTs, with all these things, right? There is a world out there where the children look at it, they can never reach, right? And everybody is about me again. Now the iPhone 16 come out. I don't know how many kids gonna sleep in front of the Apple store to get the next 16, right? Is that really where we go? Is this really what we have to do? I think not. So this is our school. We have 500 children. We grow every year with 50, 70 children. Unfortunately, we can only take one child per family. It's a financial thing. We're spending already 1.8 million a year for our school with very good teachers, with all the subjects you need. And it is beautiful. I tell you, I'm one of the most fortunate human beings living on this earth, that in my age, I can go every day when I'm there into the school, and I see all these children with their beautiful eyes and giggling and running around and start to speak English and a very good Khmer and coming with questions. Is so important that we help these children to go forward and to develop.
Life in rural Cambodia is characterized by terrible poverty, of malnutrition, prostitution, violence. A school education as we know it does not exist. And even if children go to school, it's so bad that there is no escape from the dark cycle of misery. We take these children into our care in a Western-style kindergarten and school that we run on our campus northeast of Phnom Penh. With us, the children receive bilingual instruction from trained teachers in Khmer and English from preschool. They finally get enough to eat, can take a shower every day, and even if a child is ill, we stand by them and their family. We are here for the wonderful children of Cambodia. So well cared for, they finally have a future. The change, it is all in our hands.
This lifetime can be so
You know, in the developing world, not only in Cambodia, thank you very much, thank you. It's incredible that actually there is nearly no investment into early child education. These children go in the first grade. Here in Cambodia, or in Singapore, when they're 2 years, 1 year old, they're already in playgroups. Then you have a nursery, then you have a pre-kindergarten, kindergarten. We know they need to go at least 2 years before they go into the first grade. They need to go in an environment where they learn how to learn, you know. Otherwise, when you go in first grade, at the beginning, you start learning when you are in third grade, and this is too late, especially in Cambodia, where average children go maximum 4 years to school, in a school where is no school, and the teachers in the schools on the countryside, and this is what us, the education minister, tells us, that average teacher have only 4 years of primary education. No books. There is nothing. There is no food. There is no medic. There's nothing. You know, how can a country, a society develop if it's so far laid back? John F. Kennedy said already once, you know, and he changed the American education system. There is only one thing which is more expensive than education, is no education. We spend $3,600. Yeah, you say, well, this is a lot of money, but this is with 2 to 3 meals a day, medical, dental, very good teacher, sports, music, you know, arts and crafts, everything. What is this? I mean, you know, some people spend this for a dinner, right? Or for a bottle of wine or something like this. If you compare how you could change the life and the future of a child, right? But that's the other thing. These children, they will cost us our future. But we didn't stop at the primary school. We are in 7th and 8th grade now, and we're building the middle school at the moment. Yes, for us, it's always we have to find money. We are an NGO. We have to fundings. We need people. We can also not go to the bank to get the money because then we lose the tax exemption. So we are depending on what we get from the outside and the understanding. And you have to understand, where is Singapore going? I just was on the sofa on a talk with the Deputy Prime Minister, and he said, well, you know, Singaporean couples, they don't make children anymore because they want a car. But they have to decide between a car and a child, right? And then he said, well, they have some pragmatic ideas. I said, yeah, what is your ideas? He said, yeah, you know, we do a citizenship light for the Chinese people. And then I said, but then you inherit a very big problem. He said, no, 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 you know, the first child will be 50% Singaporean and the second child will then be 100% Singaporean, right? But we have a problem. But your country, your neighbor countries, they have what you don't have anymore. Cambodia has 22 years average age, but we would need to invest in their education. Otherwise, they're worthless for us, right? And that's why we're building middle school. But we don't stop at the middle school. At the moment, with the University of Switzerland, with Zurich, ZHAW, ETH, we are planning a university of applied science. And this is very important because we need this connection of school education, vocational training, economy, and the connection to international universities. And this university is very specialized because we're lacking on food. So it's related into agriculture, food processing, and medicine. And this is the plan. We had a 1-year study from the professors in Switzerland. And we just found out that actually Cambodia is quite open for that. And this is our future, because you have to understand in 2032 to 35, there will be no fish in the Mekong and in the Tonle Sap. There will also less fish in our ocean. I don't, if you know, in Greece, millions of tons of fish have just died because the water temperature is rising in the ocean. We will have up to 10 degrees rising of temperature in the rivers, so there is no fish anymore. There will be no vegetables anymore. It's hard already, but the temperature, we have too much water, not enough water, we have insects, so it's gonna be a disaster. We will have not enough to eat. We all know that. So we have to do that. So scientifically, we have to see what is alternatives. Can we find another fish, a combination of a tilapia and a pangasius? Pangasius can breathe air and the tilapia can stay the temperature. What do? Do we have to change to food coming from trees instead from the soil? All these things we have to study, and we have to study there where the climate is changing very drastically. This is very important. Well, we try to be, more or less making the money ourselves. So we started a little hotel in Kampung Chenang, where we are, and it actually was, the idea came from a chef we have, from a local chef, from a young lady. And well, I tell you, if you want to have the most beautiful holidays, I do a little bit advertisement now, come here, come to our beautiful resort. We build everything ourselves with our carpentry, with our local people. Yeah, we have a swimming pool. We have a beautiful spa, 8,000 square meter spa. Why do we do that? It's actually more or less a luxury resort. That's where we can make money, where we can cross-finance our school, right? We have guests coming, they see what we do, they're excited of what we do, right? So we can really. You're not good? I'm loud enough. You hear me, or? Ah, good. Okay. So, it's very important that you understand what we do is to generate our own money. In 2020, we would have been break even, but then we got hit by the pandemic. So everything went down. We were trying to survive. We have fantastic restaurants. We have a chef's table. We have a fine dining restaurant. We have pools. We have, right? We have yoga. So, and you are never being closer with the Cambodian people than when you are with us. You visit our school. You see how our students perform. It is beautiful. And Cambodia has talents, enormously talents. In 2013, we discovered a young woman. Very terrible story. She had a child. She was forced marriage. The father wanted to, what am I? Aha. Yeah, I can't. So I use this one. So, a terrible story. She was forced marriage. Then she was married to an old man. The mother sold her into a family. The husband there wanted to sexually abuse her. Then she ran away. She had to pay back. I mean, just a terrible story. We picked her up and we didn't know what to do with little Maria and her daughter. And we put her in the kitchen because we had an old lady, a Khmer lady. She learned under the French. She was cooking for us. And well, we had guests from Switzerland, the head of the Hotel Institute in Lucerne, and Emil Strickler, he's a wine producer. And we were eating in our little office. And this evening, everything was different. The food was different, everything, the taste was different. And Bart from the Hotel Institute said, Hannes, I lived since 10 years in Asia. I never ate anything. What is this? The taste, this is so beautiful. It's like a symphony. I said, look, me not either. Let's go to the kitchen. So we went to the kitchen. There was little Maria and the old chef. And I said, so who did cook tonight? And the old lady said, she did. And Maria said, no, I can't cook. I said, what did you do? She said, oh, I only did what my mother does. Okay, next evening, we were asking again if she cooks again. She cooked again. The same. Bart said, Hannes, this woman is a talent. I said, okay, if you tell me she's a talent, I make her a passport and we send her to the Hotel Institute in Lucerne. He said, you can't do that. She can't read, she can't write, she can't speak English. And said, yeah, it's okay. In Lucerne, they can all read, write, and they can speak English, but nobody can cook. So finally, there is somebody coming who can cook, right? 2 months later, she was there. 2 months there, back to us, back there. And then I took her to Franz Giovannini, one of the most amazing French chefs in Switzerland, 3 Michelin star. First, he didn't want her. After he didn't want to give it back to me. Then he took her to Massimo Bottura, to Modena, #1 Italian chef, 3 Michelin star. From there to Andreas Caminada. And this little Maria, she grew and grew and grew and grew. And all these chefs said, we cook with her. I don't know how she brings that taste into the food. So it's like magic, but she has a palate, she has a taste, right? And today we have the best restaurant in Cambodia, and soon we will be Asia 50 best. There is also the first Michelin stars is on the way. It's not that we're hunting for this kind of stars, but this brings us clients. These people come and eat. And I show you a little bit what Maria does in our restaurant.
Thank you.
braucht eine gewisse Feinfühligkeit, es braucht eine gewisse Geschichte, auch, wo man eben ihre Geschichte, die sie mit reinbringt in die Gerichte, und so transportiert sie eigentlich auch ihre eigene Sprache mit den Geschmäckern, und das macht sie hervorragend. Sie hat eine ganz feine Zunge und sie hat eine ganz schöne Art und eine sehr liebevolle Art, wie sie an das hergeht, und sie macht es grandios, muss ich sagen. Ich bin richtig stolz, auch wenn ich jetzt wieder Gericht gesehen von ihr, sieht super aus und wie sie leidenschaftlich dort dahinter steht.
What Maria's cooking is farm to table. She has 1 hectare of her own farming, fantastic fish, where we breed for her. We have our own vanilla, our own vegetables. Sorry, our own vegetables, right? And well, she always says, I have to cook with what I have. But the taste is amazing. And it's really a symphony of taste, of flavors. You know, it's spicy, but it's not. It comes and it goes again. So all these talents, they are existing. We just have to find them and we have to support them. And it doesn't matter if you have to be in school and if you can read and write. Maria still can't really properly read and write. And she is cooking with the biggest chefs in the world. She is an ambassador, a brand ambassador for Mercedes, Zug, Rolex, Bucherer. You know, they all take her in because it is so nice, a young woman, 33 years old, who has reached out of nothing this kind of level. And she's very down to the ground. But in our school, we have talents, amazing talents. Our students are amazing. In 2018, you know, me as a photographer, I always do like a picture, beautiful child, black and white, and then I sent this to all our donors, and they love it. In 2018, said, no, I don't do that. We had 250 students at that time. Let's try to do a Christmas song. Well, my head teacher said, Hannes, you crazy. I mean, what do these kids have like no idea? They can't sing and they cannot sing Merry Christmas. I said, oh, if you don't try, how do you know, right? So we tried. So we were welding together like a staircase, right? We packed 250 kids on it. That's how it looked like, you know. We went to the city and bought for like $1.50 this kind of beautiful hats where the Chinese produced for us, right? So very nice. And well, you would not believe what happened. Unbelievable. Sorry, I cannot get up with the sound. We have to make it a bit louder. But anyway, so we had, I don't know, 2 million clicks worldwide. It went viral, absolutely crazy, right? And then we did another song, and then another song, and another song. And well, in 2019, there was an incident. We had, in the morning, it was February, there was a stormy day, and a lot of our children, they come with the bicycles to school. And we were all already ready for the flag ceremony, and a girl was late. And when she came onto the schoolyard, a lightning struck her, and she died in front of our eyes. And it was so we were so, everybody, we were shocked, right? And it's still there, it's still deep in our children's mind. And Then last year, my seventh grader, they came and said, Mr. Hannes, we can't forget her. Can we do something? And I said, what do you want to do? Can you find us a song? You know, so we can always sing when we think about her, right? So I tried to find a song. So I found this song from an American producer, left in LA, and he had a boyfriend, and the boyfriend drove with his car into the area of the black people, and there he got shot dead by a gang, right? And then he wrote this beautiful song, I See You Again. You know, it's very famous, this song. So I went to my students and said, hey, would you like to sing this? It's difficult. There is a rap in it, you know. They said, yeah, Mr. Hannes, we want to do. And then we produced this song. And these are the same kids you have seen there with the little ones with this head, how they grow. You know, through performance, singing, you bring confidence, especially the girls, you know, in Cambodia, they're very shy, they're introverted. And our girls are so strong now that they say, no. If they see something and it's not right, they stand up, they look at you, and they say, no. And I'm so proud of the progress these children did. And this is a very, very beautiful song.
It's been a long day without you, my friend. And I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
Yeah, we knew on the plane we flew, good things we've been through. That I've been standing right here talking to you. But under the past, I know we love to hit the road and laugh.
But somebody told me never last. Had to switch up, look at things different, see the bigger picture. Those were the days, have forever passed. Now I see you in a better place.
See you in a better place.
It's been a long day without you, my friend. And I tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I tell you all when I see you again. When I see you again. Wash away and the vibe is feeling sure what's smart and true friendship and friendship true bond and above never be broken the love and never get lost. And then right as it comes, first step not lying never be crossed. It's that you and that all and that line has to be drawn. That line is for so remember me that I'm gone.
Well gone.
Let the light guide the way. Yeah. Hold every memory that you go. And every road you take will always lead you home. It's been a long day without you, my friend. And I tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again. Oh.
Can you imagine their parents maybe $1? Thank you. They're the poorest children in Cambodia. That's what education can do, right? It is so beautiful, you know, and when you see them grow, and sometimes I think they actually have an advantage. They have an empty hard disk. They're not overloaded with what our children are. They're sponges, they suck everything in. But through the work with our children, we have discovered that actually since the Red Khmer, the culture has to be nearly completely destroyed. There is nothing left. You have the older people who lived before the Red Khmer. It's very funny what they tell you. They said, yeah, Pol Pot, it was really bad. But the French, they're much, much worse. On the countryside, they took us everything, every grain of rice, every chicken, they took everything. But then, of course, for the people in the city, this was a genocide, what did happen, right? But the culture was wiped off. It was never reinstated in the school. There is no books about culture, about anything. Our children on the countryside have no idea that Angkor Wat exists. They have no idea where they come from. And we said, how can it be? I mean, who are these Cambodians when they don't have roots? You have roots in Singapore. We Swiss, the Germans, we all the Americans, we have roots where we come. You know, okay, the Americans have the cowboy, and now they have a very funny ex-president, you know, where I don't know. But we all have roots, right? Cultural roots. We go to theaters, we play theaters, we read. We not even have a newspaper anymore in Cambodia because nobody can read anyway. Why you print a newspaper? So I said, this is not going to happen. So Lieb and I, we met some really amazing Swiss architects, and we said, why can we build a culture center? I know it's a bit crazy, you know, we don't have enough money to actually run our school, and you know, we need everywhere we need money, and yet now you come with an idea to do a culture center, right? And it is a great idea. So we were found this gong in the engraving is in Angkor Wat, 8th century. So there was an instrument, the gong. So when you hit the gong, boom, you know, the wave go out, right? And then we said, yeah, if we make a building, it should be a round building, maybe something round. And then, you know, water, air, earth, very important in the Khmer culture. So we said, yeah, but how can we combine this? So they came with a design of a round building. The gong. And the roof is a cone, and the rainwater flows through the roof and goes back to earth. So we're connecting these elements together. Well, it was a dream. But then, you know, we have allocated money. So I went in Switzerland to the people who invest in the KKL, you know, in the operas, in the classical music. And I told them, and they were excited. And slowly, slowly, the money came in, right? And a year ago, we started to build this very beautiful place. And it's the largest cultural center in Cambodia. End of July, we had the opening. We had international guests. Louisa Immorde, one of the world's best piano players, she brought her piano because my old pianos were not good enough, right? We had Isabel Karajan coming, we had local artists coming, and everybody come together. And our children were performing all the classical dance. It was so beautiful. It was a beginning of something. The idea is that we are preserve what's still there. Old music, songs, lyrics, instrument, photograph it, play it, you know, put it in a catalog, you know, so that the next generation still knows also that is existing something else than Blackpink from Korea, right? Because that's what the young kids listening to, so they don't even know anymore what's there. So this was the opening of the gong.
And she saw this gecko with a big smile. It was a smiling gecko.
From nowhere, snow is falling all around me. Children playing, having fun. It's the season, love and understanding. Happy Christmas.
Well, it's a very special place. And I on my end now, but I want to come back to where everything began. You know, I know it's happiness, but beside happiness is sadness, right? And we should not forget. But I think the Cambodians deserve that we are maybe support them a little bit more in the future. Because I said, demographically, Singapore, we need all these people around. It's ASEAN. You cannot have countries who are down here and countries who are up here. We have to lift them up. We have to become somehow on an eye level, because we all want the same. We all want to have a good life. We want that our children can grow up, get an education, be healthy, have a medical system. So it's a responsibility. And for me, the inequality that a child in Singapore has everything what it needs, you know, medical, education, food, water. And children over there have nothing. How can you live with that? I can't. That's why I dropped my whole life and I started what I do today, right? And this is really bothering me. But it's not only Singapore, it's Switzerland, it's Germany, it's everywhere, it's the rest of the world. You have to understand 60% of the world or 90% of the world is not like Singapore and it's not like Switzerland. And we should give a little bit, just give a little bit help. It's not about money, but maybe it's about talking about. If you run a corporation, that you have a corporate social responsibility and you have to live it. And your young employees, they want that you live it. It's a part of it. And the world cannot get any better if we don't make some changes. I think that's very important. I want to go back to Wei, to this beautiful woman. For me, she's one of the most beautiful person. Not her face, but her inside. She made progress. She went to school. She made her studies coming out of nothing. She went to the university, right? And she has a life today. And it's so incredible when she talks about it. I brought her to the UN and she talked in front of 200 people at the UN about her life. She was very scared. And I said, let's do a video. So before you go on stage, we play this video, right? She was very happy about it. And then she said, but I cannot tell the people that my father did this to me. You know, my father will lose face. You know, maybe he didn't meant it the way he did, right? I will just say that it was an accident. So with all the horrible time she had, she's still protecting her father. That's also typical Cambodian. You know, they're very tight, very close together. Socially, they really glued together. And this is my last part. And please take this with you. Take this in your heart. And yeah, you know, of course, we need help. We have some flyers here. Come and visit us, talk about it. And I think we have a big chance, little by little by little, to change a little bit this world.
Hello, my name is Katrin Val. I'm 18 years old. I come from Cambodia. I was born in Battambang province. When I was a small child, an accident happened and my face and my body was badly burned. I can't remember exactly, but I know it was very painful for me. I remember after a while, my parents gave me away to an old woman who wanted me to sell a flower. The old woman brought me to Thailand and sold me to a begging syndication when I was 3 years old. From that on, I was begging on the street, the market, and on the bridge. My day was very long. I had to start early in the morning till it was late at night. When I was 4 years old, I was begging in Pattaya. I was lucky when foreigners saw me, I made more money. At the end of the day, I had to give my money to the begging syndication. The burn in my face, it was very bad. I was blind on one eye. To the burn of my mouth, my lips were sealed, and I had difficulty to eat. In all the 4 years I was begging in Thailand, I had no medical help or education support. In 2004, the police was arresting me and put me in jail as I had no legal paper and am not from Thailand. I was Cambodian and I had no passport. Nowadays, I am very happy with my life. I can go to study like everyone. I can study English, computer, dancing. Also, myself, I can sing very well. I like singing and dancing. I have many of friends. They really like me. Also, I love them too. We are so close. What I'm thinking is I have a good life, good friend, like everyone. I like to study politics and environment. That's why I want to change our countries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hannes. I really don't know what to say, after watching the last clip. I mean, it's so much of positivism in her. And she's so inspiring. I would like to close now, and I would like to seek your kind understanding. We can't have time for a Q&A because Dr. Hannes needs to be at a dinner engagement with the Swiss ambassador. So I want to just take a few moments to wrap up what I thought was very, very profound and what it means for us as aspiring, global leaders here. One of the things you said was you failed more than 2 times with the farm. That was amazing. And all that money that went into it, but you said failure is the start of success. That's where you became very creative and you looked at solutions and you asked for expert help. And you reached out to people through your network. I think that for us as leaders, we shouldn't be afraid to take risk. I'm not saying put all your money into it, but we can learn. And I think the failure is where we really learn to be very creative and have creative solutions and rely on networks. Reach out to your networks. And that's what we do in SGLN. We are really all about, we have this 3 C's, not the 5 C's, the Singaporean 5 C's, but really it's about capability building, capacity building for you to really entertain new ways of thinking through interactions with people like Dr. Hannes and community where we can network with each other and look for creative solutions to some of the challenges that we face. And please take this away and process this. I will be tonight over dinner before I go to sleep and see what can I do? What is my personal responsibility to make this a better world? Thank you so much. Please join me in thanking Dr. Hannes. May I invite Dr. Nadir Zafar to present a small token of our appreciation to Dr. Hannes.
Thank you very much. That was so inspiring. Thank you. Thank you. Wow, beautiful. Thank you.
If you just want to, Hannes has to rush off, right? But I think many of you are moved, and it's quite often that the heart to actually ask. But we're here to follow through. Let me just pick up the HCLN team. I'm here to help support. So we do it very busy, but we just need to do something. We all can do something. So yeah.
Thank you. I have a small, yes, I have a small request, Dr. Hannes. If you could just give us 1 minute, we love you all to give us your feedback. That's something that we take very seriously. And if we could have a group photo after that, would you have 2 minutes to spare? But can I get you all to do the evaluation, please? Because if we don't do this, we never get any feedback. And we love your feedback so that we can continue to do good, programs like this for you. Yeah, and with that, let's organize how we want to do the photo. How be nice. We'll take a group photo. Yeah, okay, that's brilliant.
So what we'll do is we'll have Dr. Hannes Schmidt stand on this side, and then we'll take a picture from here. Once again, wonderful. Hannes, why don't we come this way and I'll take a picture. Yeah, stand there. That's perfectly perfect. I have a white screen, so I can actually get everybody. You guys can stand up if you want. All right, guys. We're gonna go in.
Yeah, we'll do that later.
Sumin, would you like to help?
This is the team behind Hannes as well, right?
All right. Yeah, I'm actually gonna sit there.
Now we can really serious.
All right. Say cheese.
Wait, can't fit everyone. Okay. Just put this out. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Have a lovely evening ahead. Take care and have a rest of a lovely week ahead, all right? And feel free to continue your conversations outside the catapult and catching up with everyone.